Welcome to the Soulcery Podcast, your sacred space to delve into spiritual tools, topics, and practices that will illuminate your path of soul remembering and healing. I'm your host, Ligia Costa, a soul guide, alchemist, soul writing coach, and the creator of the Trust Pathway. I'm deeply grateful to have you here with me. Together, we'll embark on a profound exploration of self-discovery and healing, unlocking the secrets that lie within. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Soulcery Podcast, where we dive deep into topics that empower your soul and ignite your journey of self-discovery and self-healing. I'm your host, Ligia Costa, and today we are exploring the beautiful journey of embracing sensitivity and overcoming self-consciousness. So before we begin, I would like to ask you, have you ever felt like you are more sensitive than others? Maybe you are deeply affected by the emotions of those around you, or maybe you find yourself overwhelmed by loud noises or bright lights. If so, you are not alone. And I have been exploring the topic of highly sensitivity for a while in this podcast as well, because I'm a highly sensitive person and this is a theme that speaks to me and I would like to bring more awareness to it. And if you relate to it, you are part of the 20% of the population that is highly sensitive as well. But although you might feel different or weird or wrong, you are not. And your highly sensitivity is a gift, not a weakness. It means that you have a heightened awareness and empathy for the world around you. But I understand that this sensitivity sometimes can lead to feelings of self-consciousness. And that's why I would like to address this in this episode. So, self-consciousness often stems from a fear of being judged or rejection. And as highly sensitive individuals, we might magnify these fears, right? And this can lead us to constantly worry about what other people think of us, what other people say about us. And I've always been like that. My mum used to say that I was a very suspicious person. But looking back, no. It was not being suspicious, it was me being worried of being perceived wrong, of being judged, and definitely from that fear of being rejected. Because my sense of self-worth was so low. I was constantly trying to please everybody, trying to make others happy, being there for others. Because I want them to like me. I wanted to belong. And I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that I'm worthy just as I am. I didn't need to prove anything to anybody. And that's what I would like to tell you as well. You are worthy just as you are. Your sensitivity is a strength and is not a flaw. And by acknowledging and accepting your sensitivity, you can begin to break free from the chains of self-consciousness. Because self-consciousness is like a shadow that follows us, that whispers doubts and insecurities into our ears. It's that nagging feeling in the pit of your stomach when you walk into a room full of strangers and you start wondering if you'll say the wrong thing. Right? Or if people will judge you for how you look, or for what you say, or for how you laugh, or how you walk. Oh my gosh, I'm having shivers just talking about this because this is still so me. But I know now that it's just a trait. As highly sensitive, we are very, very aware of our surroundings. And we kind of feel the energy in the room as soon as we walk in. But for highly sensitive individuals like us, self-consciousness can feel like a heavy burden because, again, we absorb the emotions and the energies of those around us like sponges. And sometimes that includes their judgments and their criticisms as well. So we end up being acutely aware of our perceived shortcomings. And that's why we fear that others will see them too. Now, it's important to remind ourselves when we start thinking these things about ourselves and we start criticizing ourselves or feeling like we are different or we start comparing ourselves to others, is that self-consciousness is a distorted reflection of reality. It is not the truth. We are the ones that magnify our flaws and our imperfections in our minds. We are the ones that are projecting our insecurities onto others. And we become hyper aware of every misstep, every awkward moment, and every perceived failure. And then we are convinced that everyone else is judging us just as harshly. And most times it's not the truth. People sometimes are not even paying attention because they are not as highly sensitive as we are. But because we are, we think everybody else is as well, in that sense, that they even know our thoughts for some reason. Because we kind of read the room and we read the energy and the emotions, and we kind of know, in a way, how they are thinking. But when we are giving in too much to this self-consciousness, we are just creating things that they are thinking or saying that is not truth. It's just we projecting our fears and our insecurities onto others. Because in reality, most people are too caught up in their own lives and insecurities to pay much attention to ours. They are too busy worrying about how they are being perceived to spend much thought for anyone else. And even if they do notice our flaws, chances are they are far more forgiving and understanding that we give them credit for. So what I would like to say really, or to bring to your awareness, is that self-consciousness is like a prison that we build for ourselves, that we lock ourselves away from the joys of life because we are so scared of being judged or being rejected. But the truth is, the only person that is holding the key to that prison is us. We have the power to break free from the chains of the self-consciousness trap we are putting ourselves into, and to step into the light of self-acceptance. And that's what is important. Self-acceptance. And that starts with recognizing that self-consciousness is just a story we tell ourselves, right? It's a narrative that is based only on our fears and insecurities. It's not based on love or strengths or gifts. If you really pay attention to it, it's all negative. It's all like fears and insecurities and worries. There's nothing positive about it. So if you think about it this way, you can choose, right? You can choose to rewrite that story. You can choose if you will pay attention to this narrative that is very fear-based, that is very negative and toxic, or if you're going to create a new story that it's focused on your strengths, that celebrates your uniqueness, right? Instead of dwelling on your perceived flaws. And I really want you to pay attention. It's perceived flaws. It's not your flaws. It's what you perceive. It's your flaws and that everyone else is thinking about you. But it's not the truth. So in order to recognize these narratives, it's really important that you start practicing self-compassion and practice it on a daily basis. We must learn to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a dear friend, right? Or to a family member. We must learn to silence the voice of self-doubt, that nagging voice that is always telling us what we are short of, right? And embrace the voice of self-love instead. You know, I do understand as highly sensitive and to another highly sensitive person, soul, sister, brother that is listening to this podcast, I do understand that self-consciousness has become a part of our lives to some extent. It kind of grew with us because we've always been so sensitive to all the energies and emotions, even more sensitive towards our own. And because we can see things so much clearer than others, we kind of have that clarity of observing as well on our own traits. And we tend to focus on our flaws more than we tend to focus on our skills and gifts. I do understand that self-consciousness is been a part of our lives, maybe for a long time. But it doesn't have to define us. We can learn to dance with our shadows, right? We can acknowledge our fears without letting them hold us back. And that is such a strength. When we are able to see our fears, to acknowledge, to notice them, to give them a voice, but not letting them hold us back. That is such a sign of strength. And we can learn to shine brightly. We can learn to be unapologetically us, embracing our sensitivity and all the beauty that comes with it, without seeing it as a flaw, because it's not. So the next time you feel that familiar pang of self-consciousness creeping in, remember, you are worthy. You are enough. You are loved just as you are. Please embrace your sensitivity. Embrace your perceived flaws, because they are all part of who you are. They are all part of the tapestry that makes you so unique. And embrace the beautiful soul that you are. So, how can you embrace your sensitivity and cultivate self-acceptance? You might be asking me that now. And again, it's very basic, yet very powerful. It's by starting to practice self-love and compassion. Again, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend, or to a daughter, or to a son, or to your grandmother, or another family member. You wouldn't be harsh on them. You'll be careful with your words. You'll be kind to them. You'll be empathetic, compassionate, and you have that already in you. Because as highly sensitive, you have that empathy already within you. It's just natural. It's just a part of who you are. So start being more empathetic towards yourself and surround yourself with supportive people. People who appreciate you, that appreciate your unique gifts, your quirks. And for those that don't, remember to set healthy boundaries. Prioritize your own well-being, because as a highly sensitive person, you will get drained and exhausted very easily. Just being around other people will make you feel tired because you are absorbing other people's emotions and the energies and the environments. And if you are in an environment that has a lot of stimuli, you will get really tired and you'll need time to reset and recharge after that. So give yourself that time. And when you know that you are saying yes to something that will not be good to your health, remember to prioritize your own well-being first. And saying no is not you being rude. It's just you listening to your body, listening to yourself, and making a choice that supports your health or your well-being. Okay? It's also important to remember that true acceptance comes from embracing your authenticity. So again, if you are a highly sensitive person that hasn't been even aware that you are, or you've heard all your life that you are a crybaby, that you are shy, that you are an introvert, that you are rude or antisocial or closed off or cold. I don't know how, but some people label us of being cold when we are so all over our emotions. But maybe to protect ourselves, we kind of distance ourselves, and some people might find that we are being cold. And if you heard all of it growing up, or you might even still hear it, you might have a really hard time to accept that you are those things. And no, you're not those things. Those are labels that people give you because they don't understand that you were born highly sensitive, right? Highly sensitivity is not something that you become throughout your life, or that you learn to be, or that a disease or a mental health issue. No. It's an inherent trait. You are born with it. The real reason why, it's still to be discovered. Studies say that if one of your parents were highly sensitive, you can inherit that trait from them. I believe my dad was highly sensitive, but we didn't know that. Now I see he had traits like this, and it would explain a lot of his behaviors. And so I feel I inherit that side of him. But sometimes there is no explanation why. You are just born like that. And because we are such a small percentage, we are only 20% out of 100 of the whole population. So, not everyone is aware of it. And so it's normal for them to label us as autistic these days, having ADHD, being introverted, and so on. And we are not. It's just who we are. It's just who we are. We were born like this. And I understand when you heard all these labels before, it's hard to embrace yourself, embrace your sensitivity, accept your sensitivity. But you can't really be your authentic self until you do it. And I'm saying this with love. You can't be your authentic self or live authentically until you truly accept who you are, until you really accept your sensitivity. So allow yourself to express your emotions freely and without judgment. Don't worry about judgment. Celebrate your sensitivity because it's a beautiful aspect of who you are. It makes you unique. It makes you more empathetic, and the world needs this so much. The world needs more people that have empathy, that have compassion. Look at the world right now. It's crazy. It's gone bonkers. We need more people like this. And so when you live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. You create that ripple effect of love and acceptance in the world. So even those that are not born highly sensitive, they can learn so much from us. They can get inspired from us and create this ripple effect of love and acceptance that the world needs it so much at the moment. Wow, this was intense. I think you can feel my passion when I talk about this. I'm really, really passionate about talking about higher sensitivity and, how to live our authentic selves and how to believe that we are so worthy the way we are. We don't need to be anything else. We don't have to be something different because we are worthy just as we are. So just let go of self-consciousness and step boldly into the light of self-acceptance because you are worthy. You are enough. And if you've ever been super insecure and you usually feel very nervous and anxious and it's really hard for you to stop feeling that way, if you need time to recharge and rest after being in a social setting, if you're not sure how to communicate your feelings and needs to others and you struggle to enforce boundaries, if you listen to advice that others give you even when it feels off to you, if you feel like you need reassurance often, or that you apologize too much, or you always seem to find yourself in relationships where you're trying to fix or save other people, or that the relationships are mostly one-sided, you are always the one that gives up everything, that bends backwards for others, but they don't seem to do the same for you, and then you end up feeling resentful about it. Or if you feel you've lost your sense of self, or even that you struggle to recognize that you are worthy. And if you answered yes or nodded yes to any of these, know that everything is valid and you're not alone. So often, highly sensitive people struggle more than others with a lack of sense of self and value because we feel so deeply. After all, we are the givers of the world, we need to feel loved and accepted as well. Not only that, but genetically, highly sensitive people are wired at a biological level to think and to feel and to process more information about our environment and notice things others often miss. And this keeps us in constant hyperarousal, which means that we are always scanning for threats and off energies around us. And once we fall into these patterns of behavior, it can really be hard to break them. But I can help you to be able to take back control. So if you would like to identify the values that you live by and setting a solid foundation for your self-worth, if you'd like to understand the true nature of self-worth and recognize what affects it and learn practical steps to enhance it and maintain it, if you would like to discover deep-seated beliefs and patterns from your childhood that have been blocking your self-worth, allowing you to heal and to foster a healthy relationship with yourself, if you would like to know which type of fears show up in your life and how to identify what the fear is trying to tell you, if you'd like to learn how to set and maintain healthy boundaries in your relationships, and learn how to implement emotional regulation practices to become less reactive and more grounded, I have an amazing course named Unshakable Self-Worth, where I teach you all of this. I created this course really to help people like us, highly sensitive, understand what self-worth is and why we might be lacking self-worth as HSPs and how we can change it and move on to have a healthy sense of self so that we can live the life we were destined to live. I have payment plans also available for this course. I will leave the link in the show notes for you. Otherwise, just go to my website, www.ligiacosta.co.uk, and you can have access to this course where I just pour all of me throughout my own healing journey, my own understanding of being a highly sensitive person, experiencing what it is to be a highly sensitive person who didn't have self-worth at all, and knowing how lack of self-worth can affect our lives so deeply and how our lives change as well after we do understand and believe and embrace our self-worth, combined with my experience and certification as a trauma-informed coach. I pour everything of me in this course. You won't regret it. It's amazing. Just check the links in the show notes and I would love to help you. Before I love you and leave you, I'll pull a card of the Trust Journaling deck. And the card that I pulled is from the Unravel suite. And the soul inquiry is, what do I seek in myself and my reality? What do I seek in myself and my reality? And the affirmation is, all my hopes and dreams are within reach. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope it was insightful and I hope it helped you understand why you might have always been self-conscious throughout your life and how you can choose other reality than that. Feel free to share this episode with anyone that needs to hear it. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Soulcery Podcast and for holding space for this conversation. It is truly magical to be able to walk with you on this journey of soul healing and inner transformation. If you resonated with this episode and found it valuable, I would be grateful if you could leave a review on iTunes. Your feedback helps me reach more souls searching for guidance and healing. For more guidance and soul wisdom to support soul awakening women through the journey of alchemy, please visit my website www.ligiacosta.co.uk. Love and healing to all. See you on the next one.